computer. Following calling of tenders for an electronic digital computer, a contract was entered into with International Computers and Tabulators for an ICT 1900 computer system. Prior to delivery of the computer, existing programs being used by the department on other computers were converted and many new programs written. This enabled extensive use to be made of the computer as soon as the acceptance tests were completed. To obtain earliest possible delivery and to minimize damage during transit, the computer was air freighted from the UK. It was brought to Sydney on several regular passenger flights and then transshipped from Sydney to Brisbane in freighter aircraft. The equipment was unloaded from the truck, unpacked, and moved into the room in the Treasury building, which had been prepared as temporary accommodation pending completion of the department's new head office building. This room is adjacent to the Treasury Department's own computer centre, and the two computers share power supply and air conditioning facilities. All units were enclosed in plastic cocoons to prevent damage from moisture during transit. The next section of this film, taken during commissioning and testing of the various units, gives an appreciation of the complexity of a modern computer. These are typical of the hundreds of bricks which go together to make up the control circuits of the computer. Each brick is a printed circuit complete with transistors, resistors and capacitors which are plugged to the appropriate locations. Here we see the engineer's panel of the central processor and the banks of bricks of the control circuits. The computer can do 140,000 additions or 25,000 multiplications in 1 second, and 4 completely unrelated programs may be run simultaneously. The mass of wiring indicates the myriad of circuits in the central processor. To enable input and output of data, various peripherals are attached to the central processor. With paper tape, data is represented as punched holes. Punching rate is 110 characters per second. The tape may also be used to transmit data over telephone lines. This unit reads paper tape punched by the computer or brought in from some external source such as accounting machines. Reading rate is 1,000 characters per second. When processing large masses of data, it is desirable that it be stored as compactly as possible and still be readily available for processing. Magnetic tapes fill this need. Each tape holds about 15 million characters and may be read or written at the rate of 40,000 characters per second. The card punch operates at 100 cards per minute and is often used where small quantities of data are required for later input to the computer. The most used input device is the card reader. This particular unit is capable of reading cards at the rate of 900 per minute. Cards, punched either manually or by the computer on a previous run, may be processed as they are read in or stored on magnetic tape for later processing. The operator's job is made easier by the cards being stacked in convenient handfuls after reading. Output from the printer is at 1,350 lines per minute. The Managing Director of ICT England officially handed over the computer to the Commissioner after completion of the acceptance tests. This was followed by a description of the capabilities of the equipment. The Commissioner starts the computer operating. 4 separate programs were run simultaneously during the demonstration. We will now follow the progress of a typical job. The data to be processed is received and booked in. In the data preparation section, the data, in this case a field level book, is punched onto cards. The cards are then verified by another operator with a machine similar to the punch. This ensures that the punching is correct. At the computer center, the executive control program has been loaded. All communications between the operator and the computer are via the console typewriter. These are some of the messages being passed to and from the computer. The earthworks program, which calculates volumes and job setting out details, is processing the data that was previously punched. The program prints the left-hand page and at the same time stores the right-hand page on magnetic tape. This is necessary as there are 39 columns of information output at each chainage. These are natural and construction levels, depths of cut or height of fill, gradient, slope or batter values, pavement and shoulder widths, super-elevation details, pavement thicknesses and volumes of earth or rock. Where applicable, details of benching and table drains are also output. The right-hand page is now being printed from magnetic tape. In addition to the numerical results, a mass diagram is produced. This diagram is a plot of the algebraic sum of volumes of cut and fill, which is used as an aid in planning earthworks haulage. The results are now dispatched to the originator. The computer assists in many facets of road building, processing of traffic surveys and transportation studies, location and design of roads and bridges, utilization of earth-moving plant, and critical path scheduling of jobs. In addition, the computer has great potential in the clerical sections of the department in such fields as control of stores, accounting, and registration of motor vehicles. At present, there are 660,000 registered motor vehicles in Queensland. This number is increasing at approximately 6% per annum. To cope with this volume, use has been made of the departmental computer. This is a section of the file storage containing the records of the current vehicle registrations. In the manual system, a zinc plate is embossed with the registered number, owner's name and address, fees, vehicle description, and other information. These plates are then used for printing the registration certificates. For computer processing, the information is punched into cards, which are run through programs to write it to magnetic tape, sort it, and update the master file. Records for 660,000 vehicles are held on 19 magnetic tapes. Each week, records are selected from the master file for the vehicles whose registrations are due for renewal. Printing of the renewal notices is at the rate of 180 per minute. It is hoped this film has shown some of the capabilities of the computer, which will assist the department to build adequate roads at minimum cost.